say this. So we're holding in Zevachim Daf Mem Gimel. We're going to start in the Mishnah Daf Mem Beis and Beis in the bottom. So look, the Mishnah. Ve'ilu dvarim shein chayvim aleim mishum pigul. The following thing is no pigul. Now there's the side according to Rashi is what's the definition of pigul? The definition of pigul is something. The definition of pigul works only on something that something else is matir it. Meaning, it needs something else to be matir it. So, a korban. If you want to eat the korban, how can you eat the korban? You throw the blood. So you have to have a matir to make it mutter. You need something to process. It needs some process to make this come to its fruition. Something which in itself is matir, but nothing is matir it, then you don't have it in pigul. If you want to see Lashon Rashi, Rashi says the last Rashi in the Amud Hakoymitz, which says Im kamatz lechol shirayim lemochar v'yispal go mincha. Someone eats the koyim, it doesn't have curse. Sheina pigul chal el al dover sheyesh lo matirim acherim. Needs something else to be matir it. V'hakoyim said acher matira ki hu matira samincha. The he it's a matir. When something is coming to be matir, to process something else, that thing doesn't become pigul. Pigul is only on the thing which is being affected by the matir. So the Mishnah brings down a few examples. Hakoymitz. Kvitza of, that's how we read Rashi. You take mincha from the kvitza, the three fingers the Kohen takes, you have to put it on the mizbech. That is in lieu of shrita, right? So to do that, you need to, that koymitz, there's no pigul on it. Because the koymitz is not something which is affected by the what's, it doesn't have any matir. It itself is the matir. That's what you have by koymitz. V'aktoiris, similar thing. Ktoiris that goes with the mizbeach. Ve'alevoino, which is the spice that goes with the mizbeach. With the gilum with aleph. U'minchas koyanim, that they go completely in the mizbeach. There's no something part which is matir the other part, like the blood which is matir the meat. U'minchas koyan mashiach, similar. The mincha of the koyan mashiach, the koyan gadol goes completely in the mizbeach. Ve'adom, also the blood goes in the mizbeach. That's the list till now. Ve'anesachim aboyim b'fnei atzad divrei meir. The Zevachim is the wine. The wine, when it comes on its own, what does it mean coming on its own? Rashi points out the Zevachim wine can come on its own in two different ways. Way number one, the Zevachim come on their own, is if the person comes and donates wine to Beis Hamikdash. Well, give the wine. Another way a wine can come on its own, person brings a korban on Sunday, but he just brings the wine of the korban on Monday. It comes on its own. So nothing is mad to the wine. You put the wine in the mizbeach. But that's divrei amir. Mashma, if the nesachim come with the korban together, so then the din is that the nesachim are considered binita because they need to with the korban. Once I put the korban back, now I can use the wine. Right, so that's what he says. So the pigul of the zevach affects the nesachim because the nesachim will become mutter by the korban. Now it's already being affected by the korban. Even if they come with the animal together, the wine that comes with the animal together, it also has a din of pigul. Why? It doesn't have a din of pigul. Why? Because it could come on its own. Yeah, you're right. Now it came with the korban, and the korban made it mutter. But if it would come on its own, it would be okay. The fact that it has the potential to come on its own makes it considered to be standalone wine. Lug shemen shemitzoyo. Now, what about the lug of the mitzvah? Very similar to the nesachim. Lug shemitzoyo is the oil that the mitzvah brings. There's no chiyuv pigul. Why? Lug of the mitzvah comes with a korban. Which korban? Korban asham. You have a korban. You bring the korban to the Beis Hamikdash, and now the lug becomes mutter to the mizbeach. So the animal is matter the lug. So it's being meter for something else. But similar to the Zevachim, you could bring the lug on its own the next day. It doesn't have to come together with the korban. So it's a stand-alone. So why shadam ha'osha matir? When it comes with the korban affects it very similar to the Zevachim, as we'll see later. The coach down the Mishnah gives us the rule. Here's the rule: Kol sheyesh lo matirim bein la'odom bein la'mizbeach chayvim lo mishum pigul. Anything that it has a heter, meaning something else is matir it. either for the Adam to eat it or for the Mizbech to eat it, then you have Pigul. Now the Mishnah says, let me give you examples. Ha'oilo, Korban oilo. What's matir the oilo? What makes the oilo mutter to put in the Mizbech? Damo matir is besar la Mizbech. The blood allows the meat to go to the Mizbech. The oilo the Koranim, and the skin, the hide goes to the Koranim. Oilas ha'oif, when I have oilas ha'oif, which is a bird, damo matir is besar la Mizbech. The blood that you put in the Mizbech allows you to put the meat in the Mizbech. Chatas ha'oif, damo matir is besar la Koranim. The blood allows the Kohanim to eat the meat. Pori when Yisrofim, Yisoyim and Yisrofim, which these are the, what we mentioned, the Chatois, the premiums they do inside. The blood allows the imurim, which is the fat, to go on the Mizbech. So you always need something else to allow another part to go to the Mizbech. If it is not an outside Mizbech, it's the inside, there's no pickle. So even though we have chatas premiers that you do inside, there's no pickle over there until you don't do it outside. So that's the sheet of Rabbi Shimon. Anything that's not in the outside Mizbeach, there's no pickle over there. Nothing to do with our Mishnah of Matir and Nitar. Just in general, if it's not a Mizbeach a chitzoin, so and we mentioned earlier in the Masechta, therefore according to him, when I have korbanos that are done in the Mizbeach, in the Heichol, which are the chatois hapnimiyos, they will not have pigul. Koimetz pigul sheheloi al gabei hamizbeach hoko piguloi mimenu. If you took the pigul, the koimetz, which is pigul, meaning the person had a bad thought about it, and he put it on the mizbeach, it's no more pigul. Why? How do I? The more I explain it more, what does it mean? But before that, why? What's the logic behind it? Meaning, in order to have any type of carbon, I need the carbon to be done by Hechsher. As we mentioned yesterday's daf. There's no way for a carbon to be pigul unless it was a mehudud carbon. Meaning it has to be treif behidr. It was bad with hidr. Everything was done perfectly except the pigul. Everything has to be done perfectly. So you have to put it on the mizbech. So the Gemara, as the Gemara explains, you want the kohenets to make the whole korban pigul. How can you make the whole korban pigul? Oh, I'll tell you how to make the whole korban pigul. Make the whole korban pigul because the kohenet goes to the mizbech. So the korban needs to be accepted by the mizbech. So you see, even though the korban is pigul, but if it goes to the mizbech, it's kosher. Meaning that's kosher, it means it was accepted. It's still pigul, it makes the whole. Because if not, you don't have a korban. The korban has to be processed fully. So the Gemara, "My kamash walan." So what's the chiddush? There's no pigul by the kohenets. Meaning, I put it on the mizbech, so I don't have a pigul over there. Once I put it on the mizbech. Meaning, and Rashi adds one more line over here, that now if he ate it after it went to the mizbech, what is the kohen to tell me? I put the kohenets on the mizbech, so it works. Of course it works. We know that. Because if it doesn't work, you have no pigul. Pigul needs to be fully processed. No, so what do you want to tell you? Pigul was gone. Why do you pigul was gone? Because if pigul was not gone, how was it accepted? So it was accepted that pigul was gone. Might have community pigul was gone. And now if you eat it, there's no curse. Pigul, maybe one thing to emphasize. Pigul, the word discussing over here, is if someone eats pigul, it's chayav curse. So in this case, you have to come and say he ate the pigul became a kosher. Why? Because now the korban is kosher. Says the Gemara, so if you want to tell me that, Tanina, we already have our Mishnah. Interesting, the Gemara wants to bring the whole list. You don't have to bring the whole list over here. But that was the list of our Mishnah. So we already said the kohen says, what do you have to get to the fact that we're in the mizbech? Forget about going in the mizbech. Kohen says no pigul, as our Mishnah said. Elodim olu lo yerdu. No, I'm telling you it's like this. It's not that it's not pigul. I mean, it's not the chiddush. The chiddush is if I put koimitz of pigul on the mizbech, I will leave it over there. Even though the korban is puzzle, it's fine, you leave it on the mizbech. So that's the chiddush. Tanina, we had him in favorish. Then we'll see it later in the Gemara. Halon, meaning it went overnight, became noiser. Vayotze, it went out of the Beis Hamikdash. V'atome, became tome. V'shenish chutz zman, v'chutz mekoyim, v'ben machshava. Im olu lo yerdu. If it goes up, you don't take it down. So what's the chiddush? Elodim yordu yalu. Maybe you won't tell me the chiddush is the opposite. That if you put a koimitz on the mizbech and it fell off the Mizbeach, you could bring it back. Because once it went on the Mizbeach, it became kosher. Hanami Tanin, we say clearly the opposite. Keshem Shim Olu Lo Yerdu, once it goes up, you don't take it down. Kachim Yordu Lo Yalu. If it went down, you don't pick it back up. Meaning, this is a bad korban. It's bigul. I don't put it on the Mizbeach. You put it, leave it there. It didn't go, fell off, leave it down. So, talking about that the ur, which means the fire, controlled it. It became burned. It became singed by the fire. If it was on the Mizbeach only, it fell, too bad. But if it went on the Mizbeach and the fire already consumed it, so even though part of it fell, it's already put it back because it's already Mizbeachdik. When the Mizbeach, it became a Mizbeach. We'll see soon a very strong lotion about that. So he says like this. Hanami already said that. Only if the fire did not control it. If the fire controlled it, so then they go back to leave it on his back, even if it fell off. How the Tamo on immediately, I would say maybe that's only the Megillah base. Aver de Mechaber. Okay, I'm talking about a limb. A limb, you're right. You know why? Because a limb is one piece. So if a part of it fell off, put it back on. Aval koimitz, the mifras koimitz is flour. Flour is in small pieces. So maybe part of it they have control of the fire. The other part, you don't put it back up. Eimaloi, kavashma, the chiddush is considered to be one big piece. Once the fire controls part of it, the other part is also part of the carbon. Omar v'chai hilkach, therefore, hai koimitz pigul de palgi mochis ha'aru, upalgis aski amar rocho, umosh labaur, masikne le lekule lechatchilo. So according to that, it was a big chiddush. If I have a koimitz, not that it was one koimitz and it fell off the mizbech, I have a koimitz, half of it is on the ground. Half of it is on the mizbech. And the mizbech burned or half of the mizbech, the one below comes back up. Why? Because it'd be one big piece. And that part of the piece became burned, even though it wasn't together when it burned. At the beginning we stood it together, burned part of it, then part of it fell. Already part of it became burned.
No, so you took the kamitza, put it on, and part of it, as it's doing it, part of it fell.
Fall on the floor.
Okay, that's part of the process. It's a fine flour.
I'm talking about I'm talking about pigul, obviously. If it's not pigul, for kushrei, put it on.
Right.
This is a bad one. I'm saying, okay, half of it on the floor, just leave the half on the floor. No. If part of it is when the fire controlled it, the other part, it goes back. It's like a magnet. It connects back to it. Bring it back even though it was never there. It's a similar idea that we said before. We're saying now that if you took pigul or noiser, left overnight, or tome, and you put it on the mizbeach, this was gone. Poke yisumem. Oh, he's the more dichi, meaning what you teaching us is mizbeach mikveh tahara. Mizbeach is like a mikveh. You have a mikveh. What do you do in the mikveh? You put a tome in the mikveh. What happens to the tome? It becomes tar. You put the pigul on his back, it becomes tar. It's good. Oh, 1 second, like we just said a second ago. Not enough to go in his back, it has to be controlled by the fire. It says in the pasuk meaning what? It says in the pasuk, we'll see this in a moment. Talk about someone, it says the certain tumor that a person has Rashi brings it. It says that a person eats the tumor, he gets punished. Which tumor are we talking about? The food is tummy or the person is tummy? So I'll tell you, to talk about the person. How do I know? It says tumor, the tumor is currently on it. Mashra, if you want to take it out, you can take it out. Right? That says Mashra. Which one the tumor can go out? A person goes to the mikveh. The food you can't take out the tumor. So that you can't put it in the mikveh. That's what he says. Tomaso Mishu Tomaso Brachli Menos. You can leave it. Yatso Baso Shay Tomas Brachli Meno doesn't leave it. Fimisa Ray Tomas Brachli Meno there, or according to you, the Mizbech is like a mikvah. And once you put the tome on the Mizbech, the tumor goes away. So why are you telling me the tumor cannot go away? The tumor could go away. No, you're right, it could go away with fire. I want it to go away with water, with mikvah. Says the Gemara. Mutar, right. So there's a difference. Like one way is like the way the Chinuch says it. Water, what's the idea of water? Is like going back to the beginning of the creation. The whole world was what? Al Pnei Hamayim, everything was mine. And then I'm recreated. It's a new creation. Fire, you became a fire. It's a new mitzvah. So he says, maybe I'll talk about a mikveh only. So midi mikveh ksiv.
And fire also wasn't created during the Sheshis.
Right, very good.
They say Matzah Shabbos Bayrei is created in Matzah Shabbos.
Very good. Very good. So maybe it's not part of the whole thing. So it says more midi mikveh ksiv doesn't say mikveh. Maybe it means fire is good enough. I'll tell you what we're talking about. You're right. There are foods that if you put it in the mizbech, they become okay. But they have to be royal mizbech. The meat of shlomim is not royal mizbech. It's you eat it. You don't put it in the mizbech. So that if you put it in the fire, that they become kosher. The Yechezkel is not royal to the mizbech. Ravina Amar v'tum osoi olav. Another way to learn it. Mishitum osoi parachas yibenu kishehu shalem. A human being, as he is, with all his limbs and sinews and deficits, and the way he is, he goes to the mikveh, goes to start. The food, you cut it into pieces, and then you put it in the fire. The animal can't, and when it's a whole piece, you can't. Meaning it has to be only a piece of it, not the whole thing, and therefore you can, it's not the same thing. Okay. Now the Gemara goes into that brisa. So we mentioned the tumasa refers to the tumah of Adam and not the basar. So a goof of the tumah, so Allah betumas haguf, of course, we talk about tumas haguf. I tell you about tumas haguf, or you know, Ela betumas basar. When we talk about that the food became tummy, American tumas, so even in my Allah tumas, so it says tumas in two different sukim. It was a boy. My Allah betumas haguf, of course, with daber. Come tumas haguf, of course, with daber. The other parts we talk about tumas haguf. Why? Because it says it says kol tol yochel basar. And it says over there that he became Tomeh. So there we go in the sense clearly talk about Tomeh. So there is Tumas Haguf, so we talk about Tumas Haguf as well. Says the Gemara, that's one way to understand it. Rabbi Yesi Oimer v'nemru kochim b'loshen Rabbi v'nemru tuma b'loshen Yochim Tumas Haguf because v'daber. Kochim were written in a plural tense. What's a plural tense? Rashi learns, some shit wants to say a little different. Rashi learns that plural tense is shlomim. Shlomim is loshen rabim. This is called shalim. Shlomim. So when you want to say tumosoy, it has to be tumosoy bohem, not boy. Loshen yachid. Tumosoy alav alayem. It means alav means on the person. Rabbi Oimer ba'achal betumas haguf because v'daber. When it says v'ochal, the pasuk says v'nefesh kitiga. The loshen pasuk is nefesh kitiga b'chol tomeh betumas odo betumas be'ema. Or b'chol v'ochal besides of shlomim. Who are we referring to? The person who eats it. So we talk about that's the person. That's what we just said before. Currently the tumor is on him. Mashri, you can take it out by going to the mikveh. That was the brisa, even all the different limudim that I know the tumor is talking about a tumor of a person, not a tumor of the other. How does Rebbe know that Ochal refers to the Adam? Maybe it means the Ochal, so he told me. Amar Rava called Krodol Mefarish to Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi. Any pasuk that I don't have Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi to explain it to me, V'chol Masniso do Mefarish Rav Zeiri, and any braiso that I don't have Rav Zeiri to explain to me, Lo Mefarish. I don't know the explanation. I need them to explain it to me. He was like saying like a sounds like a push-up shot, like he's saying a little bit of a, call it exaggeration. Like without Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi, I would not be able to understand it. What is it? Hachel Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi. Uyu leposach hakosu b'loshon nekevo, v'siyim b'loshon nekevo, v'loshon azochar be'emtza, v'tumasaguf hakosu medaber. He says very interesting. Look at the loshon of the pasuk. The pasuk speaks about the person. Speaks b'loshon nekevo. Why? Because we talk about the nefesh. The nefesh loshon nekevo. It says like this. For nefesh. Look at the last pasuk. If you're here, you see on the left. On Vayikra Zayin. It says v'nefesh ki tiga. Tiga is loshon nekevo. Zochar you say yiga. Yud. Tiga. B'chol tomeh. To asadu to be'emo. Or b'chol sheket tomeh. V'ochal. Why v'ochal? Should be v'ochlo. V'b'sar zevar shlo yishal Hashem. V'nichwesa. Again nekevo. So it started with the female. Ended with the female. And in the middle says male. Why is it changing? What's the idea of it changing? So he says like this. So that's coming to tell you Tumas Haguf. How do we know if you're Tumas Haguf? So as Rashi explains, maybe we should see Rashi itself. Rashi says, it's a few lines of Rashi. Rashi says, The beginning of the line in Rashi starts with the word be'emtza in the bottom. Look at the bottom. It's about it's 8 lines for the on the start. The beginning of the line is the word be'emtza, and it's 8 lines from the top. Okay, actually 7 lines from the top. I apologize. Tichtiv reads what we just said now. Nefesh ki tiga b'chol tomeh. It says v'tiga v'ochal v'nichuso. Look, see v'ochlo loshon hakevo. Says Zevach. Avi av sharishon. Al titmo lo v'imposach v'sim loshon hakevo v'loshon zocha be'emtza. How would be chen metu v'sagu v'kos v'dav? Rashi is telling us this will tell. Maybe I said it a little not strong enough. This was a reason to think that we're talking about that food because the person is loshon hakevo. He's called an nefesh. So what I'm saying, v'ochal, referring to the food. Says, we're talking about goof, we stop talking about basar. Why? Because the hakik tibikor, what did the pasuk say? It says, don't eat the meat that became tummy. You ate too much basar. That's the tomb of the food. Now I'm talking about kol toya yochel basar. Pasuk b'tumas basar. Stop talking about basar. Tchil b'tumas goof. Because the tumas of zakar, I would think we're talking about the meat. Right? And the other pasuk says, sorry. There it's clearly talking about Tumas Olav on the person himself. How does he know? I think it's right. So talking about the first one. So he says, "Mikra Sheni." You want to see the gears over here? Okay, so Rashi, what's missing over here, just to point out, there's 2 psukim. Both psukim are talking about that a person who eats the tumas haguf, if he has kars. How do I know that we're talking about tumas haguf? Because if one pasuk is talking about tumas haguf, the other pasuk is talking about tumas haguf. So even though I would think that because it changed from the keva to zachar, so we're not talking about tumas haguf, the chiddush with the other pasuk is that it is tumas haguf. So that's what we think about. Let's see the Gemara. Where it says. Again, Rabbi Yochel to Saguf because of the my mashma. How do you know it's Saguf? Well, he came and said that exaggeration. I needed to explain it to me. So he said, I would think it's very according to Rashi. It's like as if we're missing your sentence. I would think that this is Tumas Basar. Tumas Saguf because of the because it's very similar to the other pasuk, which is written the same way. Ulu doichak. Right, because the Lashon of Gemara Mashra, the Tumas Haguf is because it's the Kiva. According to Rashi, because Lashon Zachar. According to Rashi, because Lashon Zachar, that's why I would think it's Tumas Basar. But because it's similar to other pasuk, it's written the same way, and there I know it's Tumas Haguf, so here it's also Tumas Haguf. So a little bit of a doichak, but that's what Rashi says in the Gemara over here. We'll stick with the Rashi, and Immediately says the Gemara, that's what he means to say. You want to know how this pasuk is talking about Tumas Haguf? Look at the next pasuk to Tumas Haguf. Rashi concludes and says, why I need 2 pasukim telling me Tumas Haguf? He says Rashi should know there's really 3 pasukim. And we're going to see later why you need all 3 psukim. Okay. Says the Gemara, he just mentioned Rava said, any pasuk that Yechezkel doesn't explain to me, I don't know what it means, explain what it means. He said also any brisa that Zeiri doesn't explain to me, I don't know what it means. What is that? So what's the brisa referring to? The Rava said, without Zeiri, I would not understand what it is. It says the Tanyo, im nemru kolois, lamo nemru chamuris. So it says, the pasuk, someone eats kachim, so you have, as I was explain in a moment, you have someone eats meiser. Meiser is a lower level of truma. Someone eats meiser b'truma, he's over alav. Now I eat meiser b'truma. Someone eats truma, is chayav misa. So another level. Now it says the brayso, if I would say Kalois. If Bryce says, let's try again. Even Nemru Kalois, Laman Chamuris. Why do I have to say Chamur? Just say the Kal. If Nemru Chamuris, Laman Kalois. He says Chamur, it says Kal. That's what Bryce asked. We don't know yet what the Bryce means. We'll see that in a moment. If Nemru Kalois, Laman Chamuris, I see Oimer. Ala kalois belav, ala chamuris b'miso. If it's a kal and not chamur, I would say kal is a lav, and the chamur is a miso. That's what they say chamuris to tell you that it's not. Chamur Yechayev and Kal Potter. That's why Kach Nema Kalas. So in other words, what the Bryce is saying, I have to write Kalas and Chamurs. If I would say only Kal, I would think Chamur, oh, it's Misa. Say Chamur, say Kal is nothing. I have to write both. So what do you mean? What are you talking about? My Kalas, my Chamurs. What is it? Ilim Kalas, Meiser, Chamurs, Trumo. We just mentioned. The Kal is Meiser, Chamur is Rumo. Hayt Yorim Miso. I think it's Miso. Oh, that's why I have to say it. Hashanam Yabe Miso. But that's the din. Someone eats Trumo when he's tummy, what does he eat? Chai Miso. Right. So what do you mean? If it would be written, I have to write it to tell me it's Miso. That's what it is. So don't, you see, the Bryce is saying, that's why I tell you it's not Miso. It is Miso. Two, the Bryce continues and says, if we not say it, Hayt Yomer B'Miso. If I wanted to say Chamurs, I would think Chamurs are a Miso. Why would you think it's a Miso? The Torah tells you that, the one understands right now, that Meiser is no Miso. So Trumo, which is more Chamur, if you wanted to say, I would say also no Miso. I can't make a Miso on my own. Daya is a way. If I want to learn to say something which is lighter as a punishment, so which is Chamur, of course, has a punishment. Yeah, but Daya, what's Daya mean? I can't learn more than what the original teacher tells me. Elakalois tumas sheretz, chamuras tumas meis. That's what it means. There's two different tumas, two different tumas. Tumas sheretz, a person touches, became tome, not such a big tumah. When a sheret touches the other, what does it become? It becomes tome, rishon tumah. Someone touches a mace, it becomes avatumah. It's a higher level of tumah. Misa, by the way, is only by truma is only with tumas mace, as we'll see in a moment. So maybe that's higher level of it. But mine, again, what we're talking about. Ibit truma. Sorry, I said wrong, as we'll see in a moment. Idu misa. But truma, it's always a misa. The kachlim ruchamuro is to belav have a misa. You say I have to write chamuros because if not, it would be miso. Again, the same question. If you bachilas meiser, if you learn to be miso, or read the parentheses, tayavol midil kedun. The price doesn't make sense. I have to write chamuros because to tell you it's not miso. First of all, it is miso. Second, what do you mean? Why would I think it's miso? If you bachilas meiser, we're talking about meiser. We're talking about dalif. Im loynim mu chamuros say to your male chamuros be miso. What does the chamuros say miso? Why? How many tumas sherets kasu? You want to learn from sherets? There's no miso over there. How would I get to miso? So basically, what it says, this Bryce doesn't make sense. It's like going back and forth, telling me things, but I don't understand what it means. Omar Zeri, comes Zeri to explain the Bryce. He's given us the key. Kalois tumas sherets, chamuras tumas meis. Te'achikom. Ilunimar tumas sherets, v'nimar meiser, v'trumo loy nemro. Listen, more complex. The Torah will tell you that if a person gets a lower level tumas sherets, and he eats meiser, it's a lav. Okay. But eats truma, chayamisa. So, tumas sherets is the lower level tuma, right? So you have lower level tuma, meiser, lav, truma, misa. So lower level tuma and higher level food, misa, right? Deloy nemro tumas meis. The tumas meis I want to mention. So what I would say? Haiti oimer kalois ala kalois belav, fala chamuris b'miso. Umi the kalos chamuris b'miso, chamuris nami ala kalos b'miso. You know what I'd say? I would say, you know what the Torah is teaching me? Always if I have one big issue over here, then it's miso. But if meiser is a low level food, shuma is a higher level food. Tumas sherets is a low level tuma. Tumas mace is a higher level tuma. If the Torah would tell me only tumas sherets, I'll say like this: tumas sherets, meiser is lav, because they're both call it low. It's low and low. Low meiser and low tuma. Good. But it says that if it would be truma, would it be misa? Masha, if you have one low and one high, you get misa. So now, if it's tumas mace and it's meiser, you also have one low and one high. The low is the meiser, but the high is the tuma. So maybe you chayim meiser, and that is not dayoy. Because now I'm just saying, the same way I found truma and tumas sherets as miso, So Maisa and Tumas Beis is Misa. So again, let's see it inside. Ilu Ne'amar Tumas Sheretz. V'Ne'amar Maisa V'Truma. Sheretz and Maisa was B'Yutin. V'Loi Ne'amar Tumas Beis. Haiti Omer Kalois ala Kalois. When it's a lower level Tumo and a lower level food, B'Laf. V'Alachamurois B'Miso. But when it's a lower level Tumo and a higher level food is Miso. The kalos the chamur is miso. If you say when it's a lower level tumo and a higher level food is miso, chamur is now the kalos of miso. So a higher level tumo and a lower level food will be miso as well. That's what it says clearly in the Torah. The only truma is miso and not meiser. That's what I need. That's what the Bryce is telling me. Says Zeri, without Zeri, the Bryce doesn't make any sense. Comes Zeri, explain to me. Says Rav, without Zeri, I will not understand this Bryce. And with this, we'll end.